Hey guys, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Vitality. So I have another interview ready, and so as we do, we'll just go ahead and get straight into that interview. All right, here you go. All right, so I'm on the phone with Isaac. He's one of the musicians that reached out to me about the interview project, and I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance to introduce himself.
Hey there, I'm Isaac Velasco. I am singer, guitarist, keyboard player, and basically everything in this little project called The Sleeping Anchorite. I used to be also in a band, that's here in Mexico City called Serotonina Sintética. And it's a pleasure being here in Manifest Brutality.
Awesome, thank you. So why don't you give me a little bit of a background about yourself? How did you first come to know music? How did you first identify that it was going to be something that you were going to love and want to be a part of?
Well, it comes to me in a really dumb way, actually. When I was just about like, I don't know, 8 years old, started playing this video game called Burnout Dominator, and the music in it is kind of strange in a way, but it's pretty great. So that was my first real approach to new music that wasn't introduced by my parents to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was a fourth grader, I was in this school in LA. So my teacher was this guy named Elias Wallace, who later became a musician. But he had this like little band called the Phonics with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
So he started playing his music and encouraging us to write our own stuff, like poetry and like kind of a kid's version of music, I would say.
Okay.
And so ever since that point, I guess it really started in my mind that I really wanted to be a singer. But I've never felt like I've had the voice. So it just kept going and going, and it was just a dream until like when I started high school, I started playing guitar,
Mm-hmm.
specifically acoustic guitar. I had it. I learned some chords. I got really bummed out because I felt like it wasn't going anywhere. And like a year later, I started playing with a friend, and we eventually came to decide like we should really make a band out of this. And so we had another friend who was kind of starting, and you know how people struggle to choose who a bassist is.
Mm-hmm.
We
Sure.
actually just told him, "What if you were the bassist?" Because the other guy and me actually played guitars, and so that's how it came to be. The struggle actually for us was finding a drummer, which we didn't have for like the first 3 months. We didn't play like live shows or anything. We just
Mm-hmm.
practiced and stuff, but we were constantly looking for a drummer. We even had like the band logo before we even had the drummer.
Nice.
So later this, we found a friend who eventually became the drummer. We started practicing again, but now with drums. And it was in the beginning one of the shittiest experiences ever. It was horrible. There's no way around that.
Sure. Well, so let's back up just a little before we keep going. Talking about the formation of getting your friend together. What were some of the situations that revolved around that? Like, was your friend just open to doing it? Was there a bit of coaxing there? Did you feel comfortable with your musicianship to just dive into writing and producing music for a band project? Like, what was some of the dynamic that worked out there?
Well, in the beginning, I guess it was just mostly that we liked the same music. So, and we were mostly a cover band, and we didn't record anything like until 1 year after the band formed. So it was kind of a passion project
Mm-hmm.
and this weird hobby we had, I can say.
Mm-hmm.
We just got together, played something that we liked. Usually it was something like Interpol, Arctic Monkeys, and bands of that sort.
Sure.
But eventually, what what we found out was that we didn't want to play covers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We finding our own like path was really difficult in the beginning because where to start? Like each of us have the something in common that we like to play, but
Hmm.
we at the same time we listen to very different music,
Sure.
like wildly different. So we get to this point where we try to combine the genres we like individually into like our own craft.
Okay. And so through that process of getting to the point where you wanted to start writing original music, identifying that you both kind of were drawing on different veins of influences, what was the process like sitting down to like do your first writing session? And did you say, oh, I really like this part of this song, we should try to throw something in there? And he says, I like this part of this song, maybe this will fit. Like define a little bit of how your workflow process evolved.
Well, I guess most of the time I can say it was me who started it because I play rhythm guitar. So I love playing like chord progressions with various types of rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go along with what sounds good to me. I actually don't know much or almost anything about music theory. So I just go with the flow. And then the other guitarist, Brian, starts adding up things in lead guitar, which he is extremely talented in.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have our bassist Victor, which comes along with the drums. The drums and Victor actually work kind of independently
Mm-hmm.
with what me and Brian do. So we tried like combine two different crafts. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
No, it definitely does. And so now that you guys have kind of gotten together, where are you now? Are you looking at like recording albums or putting out digital releases? Like, where would you like to, get your foot in the door?
Well, as a band, we are planning on creating more music, like recording an album actually, but we don't have the the means to do it at the moment because one, the pandemic, we don't really live all that together,
Mm-hmm.
and so that kind of complicates things. But as individuals, we actually have independent projects right now. I am in this called this Sleeping Anchorite, which I created,
Mm-hmm.
and I recorded a full album, which will be out in January 29th. Yeah, and well, the dynamic is actually kind of the same in my experience,
Mm-hmm.
but we all have like our different paths right now, but we don't say that the band is over. We don't think it is.
Sure. The pandemic has definitely, put a damper on a bunch of different efforts, and right now internet collaboration is going up because it's the best way people can get together. But for your solo project, did you kind of branch into writing and learning the other instruments so you could put those on? Did you reach out to other people to send you like stems so you could mix them together? Like, how did you kind of develop the intent to start working on your own solo music?
Except for the drums, I would say I approach everything as if I was playing guitar. So I had to learn the notes on the keyboard and a few chords to really put that in my music. And as a bass, I just play it as if it were a guitar, but on the keyboard because I don't think using a guitar as a bass sounds really good. I tried it once, worked horribly. But yeah, I actually had to learn some things about how to play and how to like mix and produce myself. I do it everything on an old laptop I have since like 2011. Yeah, and I guess what was really hard was learning to find my own voice to say it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was never comfortable with how I sang, even though I was the main singer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this pandemic actually helped me a lot to find my way in that sorts of things.
So as you do kind of get to the point of, you have your release coming out on the 29th and then moving forward, what are some like kind of aspirations that you would like to see along the lines of, being able to practice in person and write again with your bandmates, getting out and doing shows? Like, what are you looking forward to coming up in your career?
Well, I guess first of all, I would like to play the album live with with our band. I know it will change definitely when we play together because we all add up to more than our individual parts.
Hmm.
So I guess that's first thing, and we'll find like maybe some other bands to play with because we were always like loners. We really didn't know many bands in our area.
Hmm.
So I'm really hoping to collaborate with more people and to extend like what our band is at the moment.
Sure. So by the way you say that, do you not have much of a local music scene where you're at, or you just like haven't really gotten out to network with the other bands? What's the local music scene like where you are?
Well, here in Mexico City, it's kind of a weird thing. Each band is very uh, Frank Iero from My Chemical Romance described it this way, and it's gonna sound kind of weird, but he describes it as incestuous.
Um,
Like every band of every genre
mhm,
knows every band of the same genre, but they don't
mhm,
really like play with bands of other genres. So we are very versatile, and you're not gonna see us play like The Cure at a metal gig or at a punk gig
mhm.
because they really don't like it. They don't combine that. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's kind of a really closed local music scene. But we hope to get enough traction to actually make people look into other type of music, not the one that they're just accustomed to.
Sure, absolutely. So, what are a couple events that have happened to you surrounding music that have been really kind of pivotal and instrumental to, the way that you either desire to be a musician or that have made you realize that, you're where you should be?
I guess the most defining point would have been when we play live. Every time we play live, I feel like I'm in the right place. It's it's just a whole different experience being on the other side, like of the stage,
Mm-hmm.
and talking to people that really like your craft, even though sometimes you don't have enough confidence or you aren't self-aware of your talent. I guess people eventually come to show you what you're really worth, and those events specifically, when people come in and say like, your show was great, you have real future in this, or they just like the way that you express yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
guess those moments have defined myself like in thinking I am here, I am where I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
and they also actually have helped me find myself in other ways that I would have thought wouldn't have come alone.
Awesome. So, I mean, not to paraphrase or put words in your mouth, but you're saying, through having others relate to you, you're learning how to relate back to them, kind of thing.
Yeah, and to relate to myself actually, because I don't know, as a teenager, as things are, sometimes you get to think like you're not comfortable in your own skin. So
Hmm.
music actually helped me cope with that a lot.
Sure, absolutely. So why don't you go ahead and put out some plugs about where people can check out your album that's coming out, and then stuff that you already have out that people can listen to.
Well, I'm in Instagram as isaac.flavorblast.v, on Spotify as a Sleeping Anchorite, also on YouTube. The album will be out the 29th. It's called Debauchery. It's a 14 song album. It's even though it's 14 songs, it's just 45 minutes long. I don't know if I should have said just or if it actually is very long.
It's good stuff. I had a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, I would encourage people to listen to it, not because it's great music or anything. I'm not gonna pat myself on the back or anything.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say that I tried to find my own sound, and
Sure.
I think that's what brings the uniqueness and maybe the worth hearing to it.
I would absolutely agree. One thing that I've come to terms with through making my own music, and then also getting the chance to listen to so many other people's music, is when you're listening to music, you're listening to people's decisions, and you're listening to something that they decided to do and the decision that was made, and you're listening to the final product of those decisions. So rather than judging music based on the quality of it, or the content, or whether or not it's mainstream or underground, no matter what it is, you're listening to a decision that was made.
Yeah, you. It's like an audible representation of the person behind it. You
Hmm.
know,
Absolutely.
it's it's everything that one likes about maybe other things you've heard or metaphors or sounds that sound harmonious to you. You go and put it together into something of your own, and the beauty in it is the person and the music and the relationship that comes with it. It's great actually.
For sure. We kind of went off on a bit of a metaphorical discussion there, but I want to give you the opportunity to also put out your last word. So, just a message that you kind of feel resonates with you that you want to put out there.
Well, I hadn't thought about it. I think I should have come more prepared, but I'm gonna put out maybe a piece of advice that I've been given, and I think people should always have in mind, like even though sometimes you don't have the self confidence or the awareness to see your self worth, you can find it through through craftsmanship. Excuse me, I got tongue tied. Um, and through your own work, later you'll come back and see those things you've made. You'll be like, maybe I'm better now. Maybe I've I'm more experienced in these ways or these other ways, and you'll see your growth. And growth is what matters at the end of the day. If you remain stagnant, that's when you really have to like take action and do something. If not, you can see where you're going and you'll be able to get wherever your dreams take you.